JFK basically says, kick rocks, go fuck yourself. Now that's a big mistake, because in those days, up until the 70s, like I said, the mob controlled America. You don't tell the mob to go fuck themselves. If anything, they say that to you. Now, obviously, the mob's irate. They got JFK backing out on his word. They just helped him get in. Bobby Kennedy's exposing the mob. They gotta do something. Now, there are reports of Marcello, an FBI wiretap what I think is there was a second shooter, which the mob has said there was a second shooter. They've alleged there was a second shooter. I believe there was a second shooter, and the reason why the brain is not there is because if you would allow that brain to the public, there would be proof of two different bullets hitting him, which would give proof to a second shooter, which they have denied. They deny it all the way they deny it. Now, there's a little bit more to that. There was a mobster named Sam Sciortino. He was an LA mobster who did time with Michael Francis. Michael Francis is a YouTuber. Sonny Francis was his dad, the one that Marilyn Monroe moaned. Okay. Michael Francis did time with Sam Sciortino, or whatever his name is. He's an LA mobster. Sam Sciortino was very close with the most powerful man in America, Carlos Marcello. You see where I'm going with this? Michael Francis alleges that while he was doing time with whatever that guy's name was, right, the LA mobster guy, while Michael was doing time with him, he gave facts and basically said he swore on everything he loved that he knew that Carlos Marcello was behind it, because Carlos Marcello was planning it. And Carlos Marcello hated nobody more than the Kennedys, apparently. So keep that in mind, that there's a lot of facts here, a lot of messy stuff here. Let me tell you this as well, okay? So I'm going to make a connection between Carlos Marcello and Lee Harvey Oswald. Oswald grew up in New Orleans, the same place that Marcello grew up. So then he had a long-time friend named David Furry, who was Marcello's long-time investigator. And so keep in mind, while Kennedy was getting murdered, Marcello was in court with Oswald's friend, so they had a direct connection. Okay, the CIA goes to Marcello, knowing that Marcello hates Kennedy. Okay, he hates Kennedy. Now, why would the mob go to why would the CIA go to Marcello though? Because he's the most powerful man in America. The CIA, the mob have something in common. That's not the first time though. You had the CIA team up with the mob on tons of occasions, whether it's Lucky Luciano allowing 100,000 troops to get into Sicily. You had Luciano clearing out ports that Nazis infiltrated and were planning an attack. He helped clear those. You had the CIA doing work with the mob on Fidel Castro. You had CIA and Meyer Lansky working together to open casinos in Cuba. There's direct links. So the CIA goes to the mob and says, "Hey, we have a mutual agent for this guy. Let's take this guy. This is the CIA. They're a covert operation." They team up. Hey, so we want to knock this guy off. They team up. Bang. The Lee Harvey Oswald connection was perfect. Okay, Lee Harvey Oswald is passing off pamphlets against JFK. He's a little bit of a fucking nut. So by Carlos Marcello choosing Oswald, he's a little bit crazy, so it won't fall back on the mob. You know what I mean? It's not a direct connection that anyone would think. Think about this. Carlos Marcello would never get one of his soldiers it's not suspicious. It could come off as a lone gunman. He is the fall guy. They have the fall guy. They have Oswald, the fall guy. There you go. You got the guy who's gonna kill the president for you. Okay, there's a connection built right there. Next thing, you got the CIA connection to the mob connection to Oswald. Now let's get to Jack Ruby. Jack Ruby was a nightclub owner, but he was also a runner for Al Capone, Chicago outfit member who was also extremely close with Sam Giancana and Carlos Marcello. You see where I'm going with this? He was also connected to a bookmaker in Chicago who worked for the outfit back in the day, so he has his mob connections, okay? Jack Ruby moves out to New Orleans and becomes associated with Carlos Marcello. They become in business together, operating nightclubs. Okay, Jack Ruby then he has financial issues and goes to the mob for help. The mob reportedly says they also didn't trust Oswald. They thought he would sing to the government. He goes singing straight to the government. They realize they need him dead. They say, "You're in debt to us, to Jack Ruby. We got something for you." And yeah, it is something that you'll never see the light day again. And basically, he became the guy to take Oswald out. Now, keep in mind, both these guys have very verified huge connections to the mob. They have multiple connections to the mob and to Sam Giancana and Carlos Marcello. Okay? So you got Alan Dulles hates him, the CIA hates him, the mob hates him. He's being messy with Marilyn Monroe. There's a lot going on here, keep in mind. Okay? They put Alan Dulles in charge of the Warren Commission so that the truth will never come out. Alan Dulles hates Kennedy. He doesn't want the truth to get out. Okay? So the bond is set. The shooter is set. The shooter to shoot the shooter is set. Everything is perfect. In mind, Sam Giancana asked the CIA to bug his girlfriend because he was afraid his girlfriend was sleeping with another guy. The CIA says, "No problem, we will bug your girlfriend." So there is literally a CIA connection within, I think, months of the Kennedy assassination. There's a CIA and Mafia connection within months of this, of the Kennedy assassination. No one knows this. It's really, really, unknown. It's relatively unknown. Also, the shot that killed Kennedy apparently couldn't have came from up where Oswald shot, which is another reason why there's a second shooter. Okay, keep that. Now, I want you to think about this. So the assassination happens, right? Oswald shoots Kennedy. Oswald is moved to a police station in Chicago, I believe. Who is from Chicago? All of Marcello's guys, Sam Giancana, Al Capone, they're all from Chicago. Let me ask you this, and even the police chief was asked this. Marcello and Jack Ruby weeks leading up to the JFK murder. There's Marcello's guys meeting with Oswald months before the shooting. Mobsters who turned government witness have came on here, and they all say the same facts about the JFK assassination. And they weren't even in the same cruise. Now, I'll get to the Secret Service conspiracy theory. I don't really believe this one. I think it's dumb. But I have friends who believe this one. But if you listen to anybody, they all say the same stuff. People may believe in just different conspiracy theories, but they all say the same thing. The story the government is trying to put out is complete bullshit. Now, I'll tell you the Secret Service one, and you can take it for yourself. The AR-15 is a brand new gun at the time. It's brand new. Secret Service agent is standing up in the car behind Kennedy's with the AR-15 out looking for people like this. The driver of the car he's in, keep in mind he's behind Kennedy, hits the gas pedal because he's got to keep up with the presidential car. He hits the gas pedal a little bit too hard, reportedly. That then knocks the guy with the AR-15 back into his seat to sit down. As he's falling back, his hand is on the trigger. He lets the trigger, he pulls the trigger, bang, bang. 2 shots are fired, reportedly, into the back of Kennedy's head, who's sitting in the car in front of him. Now, there is actual facts to this, that Secret Service agent who reportedly and apparently shot Kennedy went into a deep depression and drank himself to death. His family, sister, wife have all came out to confirm this, that this is true. He died from this. Keep in mind the brain is also missing. Another reason why the brain could be missing is Oswald's bullets were military grade. They shoot through you and they come out. Like they're meant to not stay in your head. The Secret Service bullets, they're fragmented, so they break up and to do more damage. Apparently, if Kennedy's brain was recovered, it would show if there was fragments in the brain, which would again say that the Secret Service agent did by accidentally kill Kennedy. Now, I think the Secret Service one is way more embarrassing. I mean, you got a Secret Service agent just by accidentally killing a president. I think the mob one is at least there was planning and shit done to that. I mean, the other one, the motherfuckers took a seat and killed the president. That's fucked. But, there was also, the Secret Service bodyguard who, in the footage, jumped and grabbed and held Kennedy's head down, said that he was behind Kennedy or wherever he was at. He said the bullet did not, he said from where he was at, the bullet definitely did not sound like it came from above him, from Oswald. It sounded like it came from behind him, from the Secret Service agent. Again, that's just him saying that. But regardless, there is something going on here that the government doesn't want you to know. So I just laid out all the facts for you of the two biggest theories in the world. They're right here for you. I want to know what you think, though. I want to know what you think. So, subscribe if you haven't already. Like and comment on the video. This is, in fact, a brand new series, and I'm so happy to be doing it. The next video will be on Robert Pickton. Now, I am from BC myself. Robert Pickton is the most infamous serial killer from BC. I've heard stories about this guy. My dad saw him. It was kind of known. They had a massive farm